Hi, and welcome to Around the Loop, a show where we discover what brings people to God and to Weimar Institute. Each episode, we walk one loop around our campus with someone from the Weimar family. You see, the loop is where a lot of Weimar life takes place. It's a half-mile road that circles the campus. It's where we run and walk for exercise. It's where we study, believe it or not, as we quiz each other for tests. It's where we talk over ideas, plans, and problems. And many times, where we pray together. So, we invite you to walk with us as we talk with our guests. We'll get to know their stories and retrace the footprints of their journeys with God. So join us as together we go around the loop. Today, Brian hosts our guest, Gary Hess, the Guys Dean at Weimar College and Bible teacher at the elementary school. But before all of his current endeavors, Gary Hess spent a good portion of his life in law enforcement.
So one thing that I do have to say about being in law enforcement, it was exciting.
I bet.
It was amazing. I was talking to a friend one time. I had left a small police department that I worked at, and I was working for the county sheriff's department. And I was feeling depressed, or there was something in my life that I could not put my finger on that was bothering me. And he had also a lateral, that's what they call people that go from one department to another. He had also lateraled to the sheriff's department from a police department in Hawaii. And I was talking to him one day, and I said, you know, I can't figure out what's going on. I'm feeling down or whatever. And he said, it's because you're not getting the adrenaline rush that you were getting. And I started thinking about that, and I thought that's exactly what it was. And after I figured it out, I was okay. Anyway, so, you know, I went through my career. I got married, and that didn't work out. And you know, the whole time I was feeling a need of the Lord in my life, and I struggled with my relationship with the Lord because I knew what I should be doing, and there was a lot of things that I wasn't doing. And I just got to a place where I had gone through a divorce. I was sitting in my living room, and I was looking out the window, and I kind of said a prayer in my head. Lord, I'm stuck in the mud. And the sad part is I don't even feel one way or the other that I need to get out of here. But if you don't do something, I'm probably going to be lost. And the Lord answered my prayer right away. My mom, bless her heart, invited me to some friend's house, and they started watching a series by Stephen Bohr called Cracking the Genesis Code. And I started going every week, because I had quit going to church for whatever reason. And just after my life kind of fell apart. And, you know, the truth that he shared in that series just opened my eyes and changed my understanding of Scripture. And it instilled in me a desire to study it. And so it was through that process, actually, that the Lord got me back on the right track, and I started going back to church, got involved, and I wanted to be involved beyond the local church, and the Lord got me involved in Army ministries. So, having gone to the first Army Bible camp, I watched what was going on, and I could see that they were trying really hard. They did a good job, but behind the scenes, if you were paying attention, you could see that they were really scrambling. And I said, hey, you guys need some more. You need someone to help you with your organization. You need somebody to take care of your operations, your logistics, you know, and different aspects of running an event. And they asked me if I wanted to join the team, and so I got involved in that, and that was a real blessing. From there, I did that for a couple of years, and I helped them with about 10 or a dozen of their events, and helped run the operation. And so while I was there, I learned about AVCO, the Amazing Facts. It's not College of Evangelism. Center of Evangelism. And so I decided that I was going to, when I retired, because I was getting close to retirement, I wanted to go through the 4-month Bible Worker program. And that program happened to be at Weimar Institute. And so I'd been to Weimar Institute once before, and when I was here, I thought, oh man, Lord, this is such an amazing place out in the woods, living in the country. It'd be amazing to live here. But I never thought I would, but here I am, 7 years later, and I've been here for 7 years. So I came to Weimar Institute to go through AVCO, and I spent the last 4 months of 2012 here, from August through December, going through the program. And when that was complete, I went to India for 3 weeks on a mission trip. And when I got back, I decided my stuff was here, so I'm going to go to Weimar College and take a few theology classes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I'd always been interested in doing, but never had the opportunity. And I thought, well, since I have the opportunity, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And it was really odd because the devil was trying to get me to leave because I'm going to college with a bunch of young people.
Yeah.
And I didn't connect with them, and I didn't connect with any of the faculty members, and I just felt like I didn't belong. And I asked myself, what are you doing here? You can go back down to Southern California, you can do what you want, you don't have to work anymore because you have a retirement.
Yeah.
And so I thought about it and I prayed about it, and the Lord just led me. I mean, he didn't tell me like, hey, Gary. He impressed me that I needed to be here. And so I made the decision to stay, and then the temptation to leave left. And I went through the semester, and that year we ended up going to Lebanon on a mission trip. And while we were on the mission trip, I really connected with the students. And so I finished the semester, and then that summer I got a phone call and was asked if I wanted to be the men's dean, for the residence hall dean for the college, which I'm still currently the residence hall dean.
Yeah.
And it's been a real blessing in my life. I've completed my degree. I have a degree in religion and education. And I'm also teaching Bible at the elementary school to the 6th through 8th graders, and that's a blessing, working with the young people.
Yeah.
And so what I want people to know is that if you open your heart to the Lord and you're honest with him, he will begin to work in your life, and he will do amazing things and take you places that you never thought you would go before.
Yeah.
Since I recommitted my life to the Lord, I got involved with Army. As I said, I got involved with, Army ministries. Traveled around the country, helping out with Bible camps. I ended up here at Weimar, and since I've been at Weimar, I've been to India. I've been to Lebanon twice. I've been to Brazil. And all the things that I thought I would never do, I find myself now doing.
Yeah.
And so I feel that I have a full life. And along the process, I met my wife Sally when I was working at the sheriff's department. When I had given my life back to the Lord, and the Lord was encouraging me to reach other people, and I met. She worked in the office right next to mine.
Yeah.
We knew each other for 7 years. We were friends, but that's all we ever were. And if somebody had said to me, one day you're going to be married to Sally, I would have said, no, I'm not. You're crazy. But, the Lord works things out. And the thing that I knew about Sally was that she was a good person, and if she knew something was right, she's going to do it.
Yeah.
And so I began to share the scriptures with her, and as she saw the truth unfolding, she gave her heart to the Lord, and she got baptized and became a member of the church. And after that happened, and we got to know each other, we started spending more time together.
Yeah.
And it took a while. It took about 3 years, but eventually we got married, obviously. And she's here with me. She does financing for the college.
Yeah.
And our daughter Sarah is here, and she's going to be starting nursing next year. So all the things that I was missing in my life and that I had lost, the Lord replaced them. And it's just, I can't tell you how important it is that we're honest with the Lord when we're working on our relationship with Him, that we open our heart to Him and allow Him to come in and change who we are. And if we do that, He will answer that prayer.
Yeah.
You know, in the book of Job, in chapter 39, it talks about, it uses animals to describe different behaviors of people. And I learned this from Carl Wilcox, who's one of the, he's the English professor at the college. And it describes a battle horse in there. And he's always ready to fight, and he's always ready to run into the battle.
Yeah.
Well, after spending all the time that I had in law enforcement, that was kind of who I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you want to fight, okay. I mean, we don't have to, but if you want to, I'm willing to do that also.
Yeah.
You know, when you get into those service type jobs, you know, law enforcement, the medical field, emergency, dealing with emergencies and people in emergency situations, because you're doing things, sometimes you forget about the people you're dealing with, and they just become kind of problems that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
And we always have to remember that Christ died for each of those people. And, you know, sometimes you can become a little hard-hearted. Actually, I think that emotionally you have to do that.
Yeah.
Just to survive in the world, so to speak.
So traumatic.
But so being here has been good for me, and actually being the dean has helped me to recognize that each of these young men that are here, they matter to the Lord.
Yeah.
You know, and they come here initially, and you know, after we get to know each other and they spend a few years here, they become your friends. So I think the hardest part about this job is that you get used to these people being around, and then they graduate and they leave, and then you don't see them anymore. So God has been good to me. I look at the times in my life, you know, when I was in law enforcement, you know, pursuits, driving at 100 miles an hour, the near car collisions that didn't happen. There's one incident in particular where I was driving pretty fast. I don't remember, I don't know, maybe 90 miles an hour, and we were chasing a car, and he crossed over onto the oncoming lanes, and I just felt in the pit of my stomach, I felt sick because I thought he was going to take out another car head on, and you know, but he came back over to the other side, and once he ran out of gas. That's why he stopped. But he was just somebody with mental issues that had stolen his brother's car and was out driving around. But I didn't get scared a lot. I'm not scared of people, but you know, that incident in particular sticks in my mind just because I was afraid of what was going to happen. You can't be afraid in that line of work, because if you are, you won't last very long. And so where did that come from, the ability to do that? You know, even though we may not be doing exactly what it is that the Lord wants us to do, the Lord's still there with us. And He's taking care of us, even when we don't recognize it. And once you come to the Lord and you give your heart to Him and you start looking back over your life and you realize the Lord has been with me all along. Mm-hmm. I turned my back on Him. He never turned away from me. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And so, that's the point. Never turn away from God. Yeah. Pay attention to what you're doing, because God teaches us spiritual lessons mm-hmm. in His Word that we need to remember and we need to understand. For example, we breathe air, but if it's poisonous, it'll kill us. Mm. Spiritually speaking, what's the environment that we're living in? Mm. Yeah. Is it poisonous? Mm-hmm. Because it'll spiritually kill us. Yeah. If we're not spending time in the Word, mm-hmm. we're not eating the food, the spiritual food God has provided, we're going to starve ourselves to death. Yeah. If we don't cleanse ourselves daily by taking a shower, eventually we'll end up being diseased. Mm-hmm. If we don't, spiritually speaking, ask God for cleansing, then we end up with, we end up walking in a life of sin, and yeah. we walk away from the light into the darkness. I think that's a hard thing for people to remember, that maybe we're raised in a Christian home, mm-hmm. and they've really never experienced the world, and so they're just kind of used to all of this. The whole it becomes a culture, mm-hmm. and you don't have to go into a life of sin to then come back and recognize the things that God can do for you in your life. If you were blessed by being raised in a home where your parents are Christians and you've never really ventured outside of your Christianity, then good for you, mm-hmm. because God's blessed you with that. Mm-hmm. But make sure that what you're doing for the Lord is real in your heart, mm-hmm. and it's not just something that you're doing because it's a cultural thing. Mm-hmm. You have to make it a real thing. Yeah. Make it a true thing in your heart. Exactly. And the Lord will bless you.
Thanks for joining us on another trip around the loop. Perhaps after listening, you have a desire to learn more about Weimar Institute and the people who make this campus a reality. Maybe you're even curious about joining the family. If you have any questions at all, feel free to check us out online at weimar.edu or on your favorite social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at Weimar Institute. We're on YouTube as well, where you can watch a short film on our guest speakers. And don't forget to subscribe to our show at Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, I'm your host, Melissa Osachuk, and this was Around the Loop.